What is good? It's the Heavyist podcast, weekly worship at the altar of radness. We took a little bit of time off, so it's not technically weekly at the moment, but one of us had to get in the sunshine, didn't we, Gary?
Yes, one of us did. I went and enjoyed some lovely time in the sun, although I try to avoid the sun, and for the most part, that's why I don't look very tanned. I did go on holiday, I promise. It was like 30 degrees every day. It was pretty intense, actually. It was really hot. It was really bloody hot.
Fantastic. Gary, what's that bird on your hat? Why do I know that bird? What is that?
This is a hat for the Baltimore Orioles, who are the Baltimore baseball team. And the little hat, I don't know, he's probably got a name, the little birdie on my hat, but he's the kind of the mascot for the Orioles.
I've seen him knocking about. I thought he was like a cartoon character or something. Why have I known him? Why would I know this?
Why would you know that? I don't know that you know. I'm not sure if you're a follower of baseball. I'm not really either, to be honest. I just like hats, but
no. Maybe there's an episode or something where that mascot beats someone up in a cartoon or something like that. Is that a thing? I don't know why I would know that bird. He's a right little smarmy bird, isn't he? Look at him.
His little face.
Yeah, he's a proper little bugger, that one. I can't get over him. I can't start staring directly into the bird now instead of you.
Oh no, I'm not taking that off because my hair is awful. In the sun, I think your hair grows twice as much, doesn't it? So, how you doing, man? You good?
Yeah, I was all right. So don't worry. At least one of us has been keeping it completely British. I've been moaning a lot, looking out into sort of rain. Yeah, it's a truly British day today as well. So it's
God, it is horrible Sunday. Outside. It's absolutely gross.
It's completely gross, grey, grim Sunday. A truly British day for the calendar.
Do you think you might not take Ozzy for a walk today because the weather's going to be so horrendous all day?
I'm going up to my mum's, and there's a chance that he might get taken for a walk by someone else. Like they might take him out, and because
amazing,
I'm not going out.
Amazing.
I'm not going.
No, it's horrible.
It's insane.
There's no way that Jamie thinks he wants to go out for a walk, but the second we go outside, he'll immediately realise that was a terrible idea.
Yeah, today you're allowed to not do that because it's been like they've literally cancelled the Great South Run, which is like the biggest run. They've cancelled that. You can't I'm not better than sports athletes.
Yeah, exactly. If professional sports stars can't go out and do a 10-mile run, then I'm sure the dog will have to just manage with me throwing a tennis ball for him in the living room for a bit today because I'm not going outside, not in this. Oh, no. I'm holding up, mate. I'm holding up indoors.
Yeah, I'm going up to my mum's to get some food. I don't even know what it is. I don't know if it's going to be a roast, if it's going to be a takeaway, but I'll have anything given to me at this point.
Honestly, just as long as it's edible, who cares?
Anything free and warm, mate.
Free and calorific. I'm good. I don't mind what it is. Yeah, it's not. I like recording on Sundays, knowing we'll do a podcast now, and then later on we're gonna have a nice roast dinner. It's a nice feeling.
Nice Sunday tradition.
It. Yeah,
we might have to. I might have to do more on a Sunday. I do like them on a Sunday.
We could change. We could pivot out of heavy music and into hymns. Then it'd be good for a Sunday, wouldn't it?
Yeah. We could just talk about TV. How was your holiday? Before I start moaning about something, I wanted to ask you about your holiday. How was it?
My holiday was very nice, mate. Thank you very much. Yeah, it was a nice time. Just over a week. It was relaxing. Drank plenty of beer. Ate lots of food. Had a really big breakfast every day because the old hotel buffet breakfast.
That's the best thing.
Can't knock it, man. One of my favourite things.
What we're talking about? What was
breakfast.
Yeah, go on.
One of my favourite things is when they have sauteed potatoes, which are basically the chips left over from dinner the day before, just cut a bit smaller and fried, and they're just lovely. There was an omelette station. Nicola had an omelette every day. Me and the omelette man became like
that's what
buds.
I was getting into. That's what I needed to get into. I was going to ask you about the specific egg situation. Omelette station is fucking goated, dude.
It is. You go up there, he catches your eyes up,
a
bit of everything. I didn't even have to queue or anything. The guy just clocked me and he's like, bit of everything. Like, bit of everything, mate.
This is 3-egg omelette man.
Absolutely. I wouldn't, go, mate, get a cup of coffee, go do all the other bits, come back, get some juice, like 3, because they only have to give you the silly little glasses, don't they? So I had to get like 3 glasses of orange juice because I'm not keep going back up and down. I'm not wasting my time doing that. So I get me 3 glasses of orange juice. And then by the time I'm done, go back, get me omelette. Oh, spot on, mate. Sausages, croissants with chocolate sauce. Oh, every day, man, living the dream. I ate so much on that breakfast buffet that I didn't need lunch. It was incredible. I did find myself getting up earlier than I probably would even get up at home every day, so I could get down
because you're excited about the breakfast.
Exactly, man. So I could get on with the breakfast. I'm like, come on, Nicola, let's get up. It's breakfast time. Come on, hurry up.
If you smash it early enough, you could maybe have 2 before like
for a second round.
Get up, have one at like 7, then one at like 10.
Go sit by the pool for a couple of hours, come back and then have breakfast again. They'd never even know. It's good times, man. It's good times. We went to...
Did you go and have a look at all the lovely doggies?
Yeah, we went to the sanctuary, went to see the doggos. That was fun. Met a few of the new boys. There was one of them was hilarious, man. He's a golden retriever. His name's Stanton, and he's blind.
Oh,
and he came out and he just went absolutely nuts and just trying to climb Nicola. He was just like scrabbling, trying to get up on her lap. But he's like, he can't see where he's got to put his feet to get up there. So he's just scrabbling on her, just trying to get
just
up.
A complete lunatic.
Yeah, just going absolutely crazy. It was so funny.
Absolute goon.
Yeah, there was, it was, I mean, obviously, it's always a little bit bittersweet because, these are dogs that need homes and stuff. But there was some like puppies who were so cute. So very, very cute. 3 little puppies. Stanton. One called Ollie, who was like a German Shepherd. He's very cute. They're all just lovely doggies, aren't they? Just lovely little fellas, little puppers. So that was nice. That was a nice day. And we we tried to go to Turkey. I mean, like the Turkish side of the island. Got through the thingamajigger, the like passport check, and then sat in a queue for half an hour. I was like, it's not worth the effort.
Turkey's not worth half hour.
Just turn around and go straight back out again. It was just like, this is a joke. We just sat here doing nothing. Like, why is nothing happening? And then we had a look and saw that the hire car wouldn't have had any insurance if we'd have gone over there. So we probably for the best that we didn't.
That's all right. Yeah, you don't need to getting sort of ended up in some sort of hostile situation, like banged up abroad.
That's the last thing you want to do. I did see, you ever seen Famagusta, which is the like weird demilitarized zone in between the Cypriot, the Greek and the Turkish side of Cyprus. So you ever watch that program? I think it was called Dark Tourist on Netflix. I think the guy went there and did a tour around it.
Oh, that was well good. And he did like one series and buggered off.
Yeah, it was a really good show, wasn't it? It was a shame that I wanted more. He looked just like Louis Theroux, didn't he? The guy who presented it. He was really good. But yeah,
was he like a New Zealand like version of Louis Theroux?
He was the New Zealand Louis Theroux. That was basically
Kiwi Louis Theroux.
Yeah, but we there's like a lookout point you could park up on, and we parked up, and you just look, and it's just creepy as hell, man. It's just this whole place where there's nobody there because it's in the bit in between the Greek side and the Turkish side of the island. There's just this empty space you can't go in, and there's just like a military base and all sorts of stuff. It's crazy. I'd not been there before, and it was only like 20 minutes down the road from the hotel. Like it was really close by. It was weird.
Oh yeah. That's nice.
20 minutes down the road from a demilitarized zone.
Yeah, it's just like some weird ghosts and drifters down there.
Looks like a level from Call of Duty when you're out there. It's mad. How you been getting on while I've been away? You been missing me? You been surviving all right?
Oh, I've been missing you deeply, Gary. I'll be honest. I don't know what's up, Ward nor Dan. There's just been a staggering amount of riffs. I tried to record a video. I tried to record a video on my own, right? And it was, I basically I wrote it out like I do my normal notes, and then I sort of made it a bit more scripted, and then put it in there's like a what's it called? What's it called? The transcript?
Oh, like a teleprompter type
teleprompter. That's the word. There's a thing on here that does that, and it was awful. I mean, I got through it like really well, I think, the second try, but it was about 8 minutes of just very sort of wooden moments. I think I need to think about that for the future. Or like,
you don't have a future in live TV. You're not going to be the host of the X Factor anytime soon.
No, that was all right. It was just it's just like going through things. Sometimes I watch like people do music reviews and stuff, and they'll just be talking in like to themselves, and sometimes it's great, and sometimes it's like really wooden. And I was just sort of at the more wooden end.
And you were in the wooden end. Well, I tried to make a video to go into your video of me doing a review of something whilst in the sea. But I had these new headphones that have incredibly good noise cancelling. So when I watched it back, I was basically like whispering the whole time because I had no idea. I had no idea how loud I was being because the noise cancellation in my headphones was so good. So I overcompensated. And all you could really hear was like the sea lapping around me.
Mate, I know exactly how you feel with that. Like when I have mine on, sometimes I'll be like saying stuff, and Jolene will be like, "Speak up, you idiot!" I'm like, "Babe, I'm just gonna go out and get some shit out of the shower." It's just like, what are you talking about?
You just don't know, do you? You don't know how loud you're being, so you assume that if you talk, you'll just be shouting. So you overcompensate enormously.
And sometimes I'll be doing it, and it'll be like we'll be saying in bed, and I nearly pass out because I'm trying to breathe so quietly. Because you can hear, obviously when you're in that, you can hear your breathing so well. When the noise is cancelled, and it sounds like I'm breathing like a bloody, like an absolute nightmare.
But in reality,
but in reality, I'm barely keeping myself conscious with lack of oxygen and just like constant. I'm nearly bloody Wim Hofing out.
Oh man, I was glad of those headphones though when on the plane and there's bloody screaming kids everywhere, and I was glad that I bought them in the old Prime Day, didn't I? I treated myself, and I'm glad that I did. They were good.
Nice, mate. Nice. I got a load of stuff for the baby on Prime Day.
Oh, did you?
Quite good. Yeah.
Nice. Make the most of it while it's on sale, isn't it?
In it. No, but other than that, mate, it's been good. He's doing really well. He's a proper lovely little character. Everything's great. He's still. I've been sleeping. I've been getting 9 hours sleep for or whatever it is for like the last 3 weeks, mate.
Why is it you've got a new baby and I'm the one who doesn't get any sleep? What's that all about? What is going on there?
Yeah, no, he's an absolute dreamboat, mate. He's doing so well. It's been crazy. Yeah, you have to come see him properly. Yeah, because when you did see him, he'd only just really popped out, and he was just completely asleep. He probably didn't open his eyes the whole time you were there. But he's a bit more of a fella at the minute.
Yeah, we should arrange that probably at a time that we're not in the middle of recording a podcast.
Every time we've been recording, I'd be like, I'll get him. Like for when it starts, he's literally just fallen asleep. No matter what time of day we seem to record, he's just fallen asleep.
He really doesn't want to be on the podcast. Come on, Max. Come on, join it. It's
and
your
he's
family
been really
legacy.
enjoying this Disentomb EP the last couple of days. He can't shut up about it.
Can't shut him up. His first word was riff. You really need to try and engineer it so that your child's first word is riff, son. Not mum or dad or whatever. It should be riff.
Riff. That would be great, wouldn't it?
Just say nothing but riff to him all day, every day, and he'll
is like one of the harder words for a baby.
I mean, I don't.
It's more like dab,
I'm a 38-year-old man, so
ra. I mean, ra.
Yeah. Let's make it happen. Make it happen. It's a campaign. Max's first word will be riff. Talking of riffs, shall we talk of some riffs?
Talking of riffs, we should. Where should we start, Gary?
I think we should start with Vomit Forth, dude, because it's an album we've been talking about, teasing about, just bringing up here and there for ages, and it finally came into the world on the 11th of October while I was on holiday. And it's absolutely bloody incredible, isn't it? The album's called Terrified of God. Obviously, we were speculating a lot about this back when we saw him with 200 Stab Wounds.
Yeah.
They played a couple of new tunes, didn't they? And we were both just like, oh, hello. Hold up a second. What's going on here? Because, we talked about Seething Malevolence on the show, and it was a really, really cool record, but it had some, like, I don't know, it was just a bit, like, obtuse, like, actively obtuse. Like, it had these weird, distorted moments and some really strange, like, vocal deliveries. And just that kind of overblown recording and everything. It was, like, purposefully, like, antagonistic and...
Yeah.
But not in the way that we would usually discuss. I mean, it was absolutely... Yeah. We both really enjoyed the record. Both had a really good time with it. But it wasn't, like... It didn't sound high budget or anything like that. That's kind of... That's sort of understating it a little bit. It sounded like basement-y, and I respected that about it. But then,
there's something about the grit and like the horrible sort of purposefully disgusting, just willfully like grating and like. Yeah, there's something to that. Like, there's a reason we all like things like that, and but this evolution, this glow up is ridiculous. This is like the biggest glow up I think we've seen. I think like possibly
ever. Like possibly in the time we've been
maybe literally ever.
I can't think like I can think of listening to like demos of bands that have now come around and they're doing full albums and stuff, and there's still not as big of a jump up in quality as there is here. Like this album is ridiculous. It's so hard it could beat up every single one of your dads and every single one of you.
Everybody's dad.
No, honestly, even if someone who listens to our podcast, their dad is like a professional UFC fighter, this record could still beat up your dad. Like this record is absolutely outrageous. It's so hard. It's so heavy. It's so exciting. Like what I really love about this record is it's true. It's like true to the old school death metal, like Cannibal Corpse-y kind of world, but then it's not afraid to sound a bit deathcore as well.
Well, dude, that's what I'm going out there. I'm saying that this is they've basically transcended any real sort of death metal. Like they're not really they've done a bit of genre bending here, and this is basically the best deathcore record this year. Basically, like realistically, if you look at it and you look at the amount of core in there, it's so staggering. But it only works to its sort of violent and horrible nature better. Like it's more dangerous. Like there's a reason deathcore is so sort of beloved and it did so well, because death metal, as fantastic as it is, it can be repugnant, but is it antagonistic, and is it confrontational? And this wholly is. I think this might be like this might have just smashed the deathcore charts, like accidentally, like not on purpose.
Completely by accident. But
this might be the top deathcore record of the year accidentally.
I think it's something we were saying the other week when we were talking about undeath, is like bands can sometimes cut off their nose to spite their face, and in cases of like trying to sound old school, trying to get that proper Tomb of the Mutilated style, like Bumblebee in a jar kind of guitar sound, just to actively push against deathcore and like just general sort of modern core sounds.
Yeah.
And I really like the fact that Vomit Forth have not worried about that, and there's a bit of like old school Whitechapel, there's a bit of Suicide Silence, Doom EP,
which is so funny. That's what I was because Whitechapel, literally that new single from them, like Visceral Wretch, is like them going old school. Like there's this movement back to it, and this is absolutely in there in that same pocket.
Yeah, man, absolutely. And I like that they've got out of their own way in terms of not just trying to purposefully sound crap so that only the certain demographic of people can get into what they're doing. Like it's kind of they were on Century Media when they did Seething Malevolence, but I feel like they're kind of worthy of being on Central Media now to a certain extent, which maybe sounds a bit mean, but it kind of is what it is. Like they've got to that point where they've got a bigger budget and they sound like they've got a bigger budget. And at the same time, like Kane on vocals, he's leveled up like 12 times. It's ridiculous how good he sounds on this. He must have found some sort of golden amulet or whatever. And, you know, his performance on this is so strong. His range is really, really strong. And I just remember when we saw him, he's just like sort of like, his hair is just sort of half dreaded, half not. He's, you know, he's kind of a sloppy dude. Like, no disrespect to the guy, but he sounds like $1 million on his record. Like his performance, I love when he does those like really, really shrill highs that just kind of peppers him in every now and then, and they cut through. They sound incredible. Like there's loads of awesome work on this record, and it's like 22, 23 minutes long, and
yeah.
Like sometimes it would be a diss to say it sounds like it's longer, but there's so much that happens in a short space of time that you do feel after you've listened to it, like you've listened to an hour's worth of material in 20 minutes. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's so packed in.
Yeah. This is like when we first got this, it was a little while ago, and I literally listened to it 3 times on the bounce straight away. I was like, this is incredible. I am so in. Like, you look at the DNA of it, it's not like miles away from sort of like what a Fit for an Autopsy would be up to. Like, you know, like the songwriting is just, there's so much groove and core in there. It's like, it's fantastic, mate. But it's still got all the horrible, like they were writing that they wanted to make something, like they wanted to make the most horrible record they like possibly can. That's like in the press notes, right? Like
respect.
And I think that choosing to do something that's so polished but still being able to make it so menacing is brilliant, especially compared to like what the first record sounds like. This is taking a pun on scrubbing up, and like it's like you know, like it's like when like a grubby geezer like gets all like scrubbed up for prom and like ends up winning prom king. Like, you know?
Yeah. There's a guy who's usually like the stoner guy who hangs around in behind the shed smoking weed, and then turns up to prom and like, damn, that guy's good looking. Holy shit! Well, I hadn't known I was ever noticed that before. It's like a she's all that, but with like trashy.
It's like he's all riffs.
He's all riff. Oh man, yeah, this record's welcome. There's so many great moments. Like obviously, Blood Soaked Death Dream, which is something we talked about before, is a banger. Like an absolute
never been
banger.
riffed.
Never been riffed.
Can we get the poster? That's what I was thinking. That's the one with Derek. That's the one with Drew Barrymore, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where she's like, that's the same thing.
Yeah. Never been riffed.
Grossy Josie.
Oh my days.
This album is never been
one of the sickest moments I think on the record is like it's non-responsive, where it goes really mathy, like it's almost like Tony Danza Tap Dance Extravaganza, how mathy it gets on that track. I really like those vibes. But then there's also some parts where there's like a breakdown. I think it's in the first track actually, in Victim Impact Statement, where the breakdown's literally just bum bum bum, like one stab every 4 bars, but it just works. Like it's just it's incredible. And I also love when you hear him go like for Rob Flynn on Rotting Wall, like that. Like
yes,
that sort of little bit of melodic kind of stuff that comes through, proper Machine Head style.
Yeah, brilliant little sort of like anthemic inclusion. That must have been the track that they played when we saw him on it, because it felt like that, didn't it?
Yeah,
it definitely felt like that was the track, because I was like, oh shit, these boys are cooking.
Hello.
They
these
are
boys
cooking.
are cooking. You've got something going on. Yeah, this new Vomit Forth record, I'm hoping everyone's already checked it out, but if you haven't, you really should do. Terrified of God by Vomit Forth came out a couple of weeks ago. It is a stone cold banger. Something that came out on Friday this week, the 18th, was the new record from Immortal Bird. It's called Sin Querencia. Sorry if I've pronounced that wrong. It came out on $20 spin. Immortal Bird are very, very, I mean, we're talking about a lot of death metal this week on the show. We've got a lot of different kind of areas of death metal, and I think Immortal Bird are kind of inhabiting a slightly more progressive area than some of the other stuff we've got to discuss. A bit more cerebral, maybe. I think you put me onto this band on their last record, but I feel like I only kind of gave it like a cursory sort of, okay, well, Sonny said this is good, let's check it out, and then never really went back to it. But this new record makes me feel like maybe I was a bit stupid and that I should have hung around and stuck on Immortal Bird for a bit longer than I did.
Yeah, I completely goofed. I completely goofed on this record. I did not jam it.
Oh, did you not? Oh, dude. Oh no, you would. I think you'd really dig what is going on with this record. I think you'd be really into it. Like, they've got this kind of, I don't know, it's sort of like Oathbreaker meets Rivers of Nihil kind of sound going on.
Oh,
like it's got this blackened kind of black gaze kind of style, but then also it's really got loads of really cool technical riffing. I don't know if I don't think they're as good as either of those bands. Like, you know, they're like 11 out of 10 bands.
Oh yeah,
like,
I mean,
you can't really.
Like,
that's an unfair standard to hold someone to.
Yeah, if you're like, this band's better than Oathbreaker, I'd be like, okay, all
right. This guy has no idea what he's talking about. Like, but you know that it's just that kind of the style of what they've got going on. It's that sort of like stark technicality mixed with this really sort of mystical, like ethereal, like blackened sound that they're working with, and it works really, really well. They also like dabble in loads and loads of different ideas and genres, but they always have a key sound that you can kind of come back to. Like, there's moments where you hear stuff and you're like, oh no, what's that, kind of makes me think of Ulcerate, or you hear like riffs and you're like, oh, that kind of makes me think of like a Meshuggah riff. Or there's a few parts like they go almost into like Imperial Triumphant kind of sounds, and then there's a few bits where they just go pure like Slayer thrash. Like, there's a track called Propagandize, which is just it starts off just straight slayery thrash, like it's. And then there's one track where they go into a section where it just goes proper hardcore, like out of nowhere. she completely changes the way that she's doing vocals from a shrill scream to more of a bark, and it just goes into this full blown like hardcore break before it goes into this sort of polyrhythmic Meshuggah riff. Like, there's loads of really interesting things. Like, I kind of written down the term tech black as like a sort of sound of what these guys are doing. Like, it's really interesting. And I listened to it like 3 times on the plane on the way home, just like, this is really, like, really cool. Like, I had listened to it a few times on the beach, but you know, I was kind of in the zone and maybe I might have fallen asleep just because I was like so comfortable and so warm and chilled. But as I was listening to this, I was like, bloody hell, I should have definitely put more time into Immortal Bird as a band. Like, this is a really interesting record. Like, just sort of dissonant and technical and ethereal, all kind of at the same time. Like, there's not a lot of bands you can think of that can really pull that off.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
that sounds amazing, mate.
Yeah, it's really good.
Funnily enough, I think the album I'm about to talk about might have some crossover with that.
Oh, really? Okay.
So a couple weeks ago now, there was a record out on Transcending Obscurity, literally just crushing the absolute life out of it right now.
The boys.
Yeah, if you don't listen to every single record that Transcending Obscurity puts out, you're probably screwing up. Like, you're probably not you're not consuming the best riffs you possibly can. So yeah, on the 4th of October, Devenial Verdict put out an album called Blessing of Despair. And I have been listening to this album nonstop, basically. It's absolutely superb. There's definitely some sort of atmospheric and dissonant sort of elements. It's a hard year to put out a dissonant death metal album, or a dissonant, black and death metal album. It's a hard year when Ulcerate have got one and have created a beautiful, glorious prison for everybody that enjoys that like an inescapable prison that their albums become.
Yeah.
It's a hard thing to put out a record like this, but this has so much of its own brilliant DNA that I am absolutely in love with it, mate. I think it's really, really up there with like I feel like we've talked about like an award-worthy death metal album basically every week for the last 50 weeks.
Last week we spoke about 2. Like it's
there's been
ridiculous, isn't it?
So many. But if anybody's trying to take a bird's eye view of the year and understand what are the best records in this genre, if you do not listen to this, you're screwing up. It's invalid, whatever list you're compiling. It's really, really cool. Massive sort of spacey, cosmic, atmospheric death adventure. The vocals are a bit more direct than say an Ulcerate. There's a bit more of like a Meshuggah or a Rivers of Nile.
Okay.
And like Rivers of Nile is like a big thing that comes into play here. So like think about Rivers of Nile, Meshuggah, and Ulcerate all sort of swelling together into this big cosmic entity. It's really, really good. There's almost like an Eastern flair to some of the melodies, and then the shredding and blasting moments. Very well enunciated vocals, which is great for a genre where sort of like the enunciation sometimes sort of evaporates beyond comprehension, like for in stuff like this where it's sort of quite heady and massive. But yeah, it's huge groovy moments with sort of real sort of straight, sort of chompy Gojira type leanings. Think about like sort of like a druidic spaced Viking, and that you might sort of get to where I feel like this album's energy comes from. Yeah, it's got gorgeous atmospheric melodic leanings, very sort of cosmic. It's very, very, very sick. It's not concerned with sort of overstated technical barrage or like progressive noodlings. What it sounds is like this is like some guys trying to make the best album they could possibly fucking write, and it properly is magical.
Sounds cool. What did you say that they were called?
Devenial Verdict.
Oh, okay. I've not checked this out. This sounds like a really cool record.
Massive. Yeah,
it's a really good record. I should have listened to it, especially if you said it's out on Transcend Obscurity.
Really big. Like, yeah, just huge grooves, atmosphere, cosmic textures. Properly like deserving of space in anybody's ear holes.
Oh, okay. A little bit of what's the record called?
It's called Blessing of Despair.
Oh, I like it. Yeah, I'll have to check that out, man. That sounds really good. Yeah, I'm keen as a bean to give that one a listen. It's a bit of a
hell yeah.
It's a bit of a sort of technical dissonant, blackened kind of double header there with Immortal Bird and Devenial Verdict.
Yeah, man.
That's pretty cool. It's funny how we've both done that. We've both listened to separate records, and they kind of fulfill similar criteria and like scratch similar itches. Something I know we've both listened to. Absolutely outrageously good record, Spiritual Barbarism by Weeping, that came out on the 18th. Mate, this album is the absolute tits, isn't it? This album is so good.
Dude.
You sent it to me. I was in the airport about to fly home, and I was downloading it on the airport Wi-Fi so I could check it out as I was flying back. And I accidentally played it out loud, so I was sat around waiting for the flight with everybody. And honestly, I think people must have thought that I was insane, and I wouldn't argue with them because this sounds like chaos, like pure chaos.
Dude,
like it's proper, like
this is
the red chord, animosity, textbook tragedy. Like it's that kind of like just sheer mathematical death grind with a complete maniac on vocals, just balking his head off. Like it's so nuts. I think this album is amazing. I'm so into it.
It's absolutely stupendously hard. It's kind of like if you take like the way like Frontiera approach mathcore, and then you would just apply it to just all the death metal genres and bang them in together.
Yeah,
like, isn't it funny how as a genre, brutal death, like generally the vocal delivery isn't really sort of confrontational or brutal,
not really that brutal.
it's generally quite sort of just like
oh,
croaky and muted. It's generally just a bit not threatening. Not as threatening as a genre that's literally called brutal would say. But this is not that whatsoever. This is the complete opposite. His attack
this guy's
is
friggin'
absolutely absurd, isn't it? It is so over the top, and so he's just doing it with every ounce of his throat and his heart, and all the blood in his bodies of just swelling up. I reckon his head must sort of go to like twice the size when he performs or something. Because that blood's got to go somewhere. Like bloody Sinestro or the leader. And it probably all gets in his throat, and he's like one of those like lizards.
It's just
the dinosaurs.
It's
so
like
good.
one of those vocals where it's just like, fuck technique. I'm just gonna put my heart and soul into it, and it works so well. And then it's over the top of these really like nailsy HM2-y kind of sounding tone, but like with that old school mathy, like chaotic energy all over it as well. Like this is incredible. Like, and you can hear it.
It's about 15 minutes as well.
Yeah, the album I think is 14 minutes long. It's full of like incredible riffs, incredible breakdowns, just grindiness and like trap them kind of moments, and it's just completely bananas. Like there's a moment like Ecstatic Self-Mutilation has parts where it could sound like Every Time I Die, but like if Every Time I Die borrowed a death metal drummer for a week, and then and I just love that about it. There's loads of like the solos, when the solos come in sometimes, like what's this one of the songs, I think it might have been what's it called? Begging to be Crucified. And when the solo came in that, and I literally like cracked up with laughter because I was just like, what are these bands doing? Like peeling out like a face melter in the middle of something so chaotic. Like,
and the thing is, they put a solo in a 55-second song. That song's 55 seconds, bro. I got that as well. And there's a solo in it. Like they don't give a fuck, bro. They just wanna have an amazing time. They just want to riff to death.
they really do. It's incredible. Like there's not really much more to say other than this album is just nuts. Like it's just nuts. It's so good.
This is one.
Over the moon with it.
If you enjoy the sort of grindier, intense things, like if you're a fan of like the Concrete Winds album, or if you're like Null, or like anything that's just, if you're into really really bloody proper exercises in extremity, then you're gonna love this, mate. This is so grim and hard and chaotic, and it's like I say, there's that really sort of warm HM2 production that
it's got a
on the guitars.
It's really really bloody loud. It's like proper like maximum as much range as we could fit in as possible. Like it's proper loud, and that's the only real way to make to present this music is just as extreme as you can possibly do. Like I don't even know how they fit everything into the mix, like because everything's so like let's just make that a bit louder, they make that a bit louder,
and they do.
It's awesome.
It's not at odds with each other. Like for how brilliantly chaotic and really genuinely oppressive the music is, the drums are absolutely shattering. They properly stab through that tone. Like the way that everything finds its way to your ear is sort of a feat of madness. Like I genuinely, I think it's fantastic. It's one of the coolest, most sort of, I wouldn't say albums are often riveting, Gary. Would you? I wouldn't say they're often riveting or exhilarating, and this truly is. This is something that is so cool, so horrible. This is something like, I feel like Uncle Tony came home from the pub on a Sunday after he'd had a few cans. I think he'd be sick if he listened to this. like if you like I'm about to go to my I'm about to go up to my mum's on a Sunday, and maybe, like I said, maybe I'll be getting a roast dinner. But if I put this on, I reckon 3 of the 7 people will be sick. Like, if I just get this on
I want you to try it.
If I get this on the Alexa after like the appropriate amount of red wine, I think this game over.
Just whilst all sat around the dinner table, Sonny, Alexa, play Begging to be Crucified, and just see the reaction you get.
Begging to be Crucified from the album Spiritual Barbarism by Weeping.
I'd pay money. I'd pay money to see that happen.
While I'm thinking about it, we do need to be considering for the end of year pod. I want to definitely get some new things in there, new categories. That's the word. The new awards, right? And it's got to be hardest band name, hardest track name, hardest album name, hardest EP name, stuff like that. Because there's some great ones in there, and with all the death metal we've been covering, I know there's been some absolute bangers.
Man.
Cellophane Sarcophagus is so good.
Sarcophagus. That's so hard. And
it's just unreal.
I love that final tempo drop in that track as well. It's just like that little nightcap that they just kind of drop on at the end of the record. It's only been 14 minutes long. You've barely had enough time to gather your thoughts, but then they just drop this little halftime at the end. This album's
great.
Well fun, man. I had absolutely zero context. You just sent me a link to something and went, check this out. And I was like, all right, cool. And then it popped it on the plane. I was like, whoa, what the hell was that? It was amazing. I loved it. That doesn't get to happen to you very much these days.
No.
Because obviously, you have an awareness of everything. Most of the time we have an awareness of stuff that we're going to listen to before we listen to it. I'm never completely just floored by something like that anymore, and I loved it. I absolutely loved it.
You were basically jumped by this record.
Pretty much, yeah. I was pretty much mugged by this record in Larnaca Airport. Oh, incredible. Yeah, Spiritual Barbarism by Weeping. Make sure you check it out. It's really, really good. I was going to just drop something in quickly. There was something, that I made the video of from the sea that I whispered over.
Hey everybody, it's Garrett here, just reporting from Cyprus.
Just in the sea right now. It's really cool. There's a band called Promise Breaker that I think we've talked about on the show. I think we talked about Televiolence.
I remember them about 5 years ago.
Potentially
covering that.
So they're like a
chuggy new metal.
Yeah, they're kind of like a new metalcore. They call it New Violence. It's their genre tag. They come from Pennsylvania and they put out a new album. Yeah, isn't it? It's pretty cool. It's pretty hard. I tried to check this out, but I double checked, but I couldn't find the exact information. But I believe their original singer left to join the last 10 Seconds of Life.
Oh, you're right. Yes.
I
knew that's why I'd seen that name recently.
Yeah, that's it. So I think this is a new vocalist, and they put out a new album on the 4th called Hellhome. And I know we've all kind of gone off of newcore a little bit in the last few years.
If he's gone to that, isn't I thought John the Butcher was the only geezer left in Last 10 Seconds of Life. Are they even Last 10 Seconds of Life anymore?
No, probably not. They're one of those.
They're a different band.
They're like Trigger's Brew.
They're Trigger's Brew, aren't they?
Yeah. Pretty much.
Sorry. Anyway.
So I know. Yeah, we've kind of gone off of newcore as a sound for the most part because, like the original genre, everything's
Did someone
just kind
complete it?
Descended.
Who completed it?
Who completed newcore? I don't know. That's a tricky one. But everyone's just kind of descended into like Linkin Parky sounding, quite safe. Basically, everyone just kind of goes. It's as soon as Bring Me the Horizon started doing Linkin Park choruses, new metal, the kind of revival of it has just kind of died off, and any of the original danger from the bands like Sworn In and You Forever and stuff all just kind of went away. But Promise Breaker, I think, are doing it the old, the old school new school.
Old school, new school, old school.
Yeah, which is a bit confusing, I know. But they're just kind of they're putting a bit more of the danger and a bit more of the that sort of tortured soul kind of anger issues attitude that was what made Korn become the biggest band in the world for a period.
Yeah, it's all about riffs, and it's not just about face tattoos.
No, exactly.
It's not all about wearing trackies and having hand.
Yeah. It's not just
getting your first tattoo on your hand.
Just trying to get Fox Racing clothing deals or anything like that. No, it's actually about writing sick tunes. And this record is really, really good. It's about 23 minutes long. One of the things I love the most about it is the way that one song rolls into the next one. It never has it has like a millisecond for you to gather your thoughts before the next thing kicks in and like comes at you again. Like they're really angry. Like the new vocalist, I'm assuming it's new vocalist. Maybe it's one of the other guys in the band. I'm not entirely sure. But he's so fucking angry. Like his delivery is so angry. There's breakdowns in here that Knock Loose would be proud of. Like I think there's a really cool wave of, rather than new metal bands, of like hip hop influenced hardcore bands that are coming through, like Guerrilla Warfare, Fox Lake, that kind of thing. And I think you kind of put Promise Breaker up in that kind of world, because they write those kind of like four to the floor, like hip hop style, like swaggy tunes, but with loads of anger, loads of attitude. And you know, there's no Jonathan Davis impressions, there's no Chester Bennington impressions. Like
is there a Chino?
There's no Chino. There's none of that. Like
hang on,
it's really. It's
I didn't think
exciting.
it was possible to create an album that worships nucore without
ripping off at least one of those three people, or Corey Taylor if you run out. No, none of that, mate. No, this is a really good. This is a really good record. There's no corny choruses. There's no cringy rapping. Like there's none of that. It's just it's influenced by new metal. Like the original, it's not like trying to fit into a box of like a modern new metal band. Like it's a really good example of this kind of thing in a world where good examples of this kind of thing have kind of become hard to come by. Yeah, Hellhome by Promise Breaker. It's really, really good record.
Sick as hell. Gary, have I got a bloody band to tell you about, mate?
Oh, go on. I'm excited.
Do the words Black Pegasus mean anything to you?
Not in the context of a band. Like, obviously, I know a Pegasus is like a horse with wings, and I'm aware of the colour black.
Right. There's a band called Black Pegasus, and they seem to be quite a mysterious unit. They seem to be... they're from the Netherlands.
Okay.
And that's basically all anyone knows about them. They...
like that.
Like, maybe... maybe the drummer's a robot. Like, I don't know what's going on. But I'll tell you what they're up to, mate, is that they're creating a concoction which sits somewhere between bluesy doom and black tongue. They utilize that, like, nadir, tar, thick tone and put it to bluesy doomy work, mate. It's genius. It is a proper peanut butter in the chocolate like moment. They're a bit, like I say, they're a bit of an anomaly. They've got no online presence, but they've had the audacity to unleash some absolutely stonking music. There's like 2 records this year. One's called Black Grass Smoker that was out in March. And one that's just come out called The Midnight Room. I think is it an album? Is it an EP? Does it actually matter? It's got like 4 tracks that are over 7 minutes and then an intro track. So, a lot of people will call that an album. I mean, that's like 4. That's like, wow. That's like listening
double
to
the Weeping record. Isn't it?
That's double the Weeping record. So, who knows what it is and who cares, really? If you... like, just try and think of like that beautiful guitar tone from Nadir. Just put that to some sick doomy spacey blues rock shit, dude, and you've got it. There's definitely there's this sort of black metal moments through it as well. All that sort of imagery would lean toward. If you saw the imagery, you'd be like, oh, that's definitely a post black metal band, or that's a black metal band.
Okay,
but yeah, what is going on, mate? They've got big ass solos that sort of ring out across the galaxy. They sort of entwine these cool different ideas of bluesy space and black metal. There's sort of synths and sax in there, so there's a bit of a there's sort of neon nonsense going on. It's very, very cool.
I have no idea what that means, but I like the sound of it.
Neon nonsense, there's some saxophone in there. There's some sort of synthy business.
Oh,
sort of spacey.
Synth
I don't
wavy type.
That's what's happening in your brain. If it was to visualize it, there'd be some purplish hues, no doubt. yeah, it's very cool. Like proper heavy, cataclysmic Black Tongue sort of scale, but this brilliant bluesy, bong ripping sort of twist to it. It's probably the sort of jam that like Galactus will do. Like Galactus will probably like smoke 2 massive zoots and then like while listening to this and then just go nosh down like
grind up Mars into a Rizzler.
yeah. He'd grab like a Milky Way and wrap get the rings off Saturn and sort of I don't know. He definitely nushed down easy 2 or 3 planets like after having this on. The record culminates in this real proper gorgeous finale that feels like true ascendancy, being pulled from the stars into the heavens. The vocals are very sort of nicely layered. They have this sort of shimmering feel, like a sort of rainfall on a tin roof. Almost has sort of the same textures as like that Nun record in some of the vocal production, which is very cool, very sort of shaky. Yeah, just is a really cool, fucking brilliant time. Like, are the drums maybe programmed? Maybe. I don't care though. It fucking rules, man.
Recording real drums is expensive, man. Like,
in it. Like, if you look them up on Bandcamp, they just like the vocal. The names are like the first one, the second one, the third one, and then you've got synth is like the carrier. And then like
that's pretty cool.
The drums just called Faceless. It's all they're all in Hebrew. I had to put them into
you had to translate
into a translator. But yeah, the drums says it's called Faceless, or those without face. So maybe he doesn't have a face because he might be a bloody robot.
Could be a computer.
But yeah, if you're a fan of sort of suffering and marijuana in equal measures, then or like a fan of maybe like wrangling cattle in space. If you've ever fancied sort of listening to maybe like Black Sabbath, Clutch, and Black Tongue all at once, then yeah, get involved, mate. I think this is
Pegasus.
Really cool.
That sounds really good. I'm really keen on that.
Yeah, it's really cool. The new record is called Moon something.
Midnight Room. Did you say it was called? Pretty sure you said it's called the Midnight Room.
It's called Midnight Room. I mean, it could have been called Moon something though, couldn't it?
The Midnight Moon.
The Night Moon.
Awesome. It's funny you're talking about Black Tongue there, because Black Tongue adjacent Infant Annihilator have actually come back and they've put out a new EP. It's called Mr. Sister Fister Reconception, which is hilarious. Apparently Eddie and Aaron used to be in a band called Mr. Sister Fister before they did Infant Annihilator. So I don't know if these are like old songs that they've repurposed or what, but if you want to research into that, I suggest putting on your incognito mode before you do so. Also, something that's very exciting is alongside Dickie, they've actually got the homie Alex from Black Tongue doing vocals, kind of like as a dual vocal combo. So it's not like he's guested on a couple of tracks, like they're sort of equal measure across the whole record. It's an EP. It's about 20 minutes long, and it's absolutely bloody banging. It's so awesome. Like, this band wind me up because they're basically mucking about. They're basically doing this for a laugh. They just sort of shit this EP out on a Wednesday evening or something. Like, it's like they're just mucking about, and it's better than anything that anybody else out there has ever come up with, honestly. It's ridiculous. Like, I hope that 30% of the current bands that exist playing deathcore listen to this and switch to like synthwave or something, because once you've heard it, you'd be like, there's not really any point in even trying, because these guys just shred. This is so good. Because like, I know that they've always been a kind of band who just want to do the most extreme thing possible. But it kind of feels like on this that they focused a bit more on writing something that's got a bit more groove and a bit more like bounce to it. It's just, this EP is just fantastic. Really, really, really awesome. Like, Aaron is one of the sickest drummers out there. Eddie bloody shreds, and then Dickie and Alex on vocals, both incredible. Like, you can listen to this. This is like this should be the deathcore gold standard. Like, you shove Lorna Shore up your ass, mate. This is what you should be checking out. These guys, and I think the trouble. I mean, they're called Infant Annihilator, and they name their EP Mr. Sister Fister. I think that's probably the problem. Like, if they took it a little bit more seriously, they'd be massive. But that's kind of why I love them, because that's not what they're trying to do. They're just doing something incredible. And this EP, I don't know if you've had a chance to check it out, son, but if you haven't, like, it's so good.
Yeah, I genuinely haven't yet. I didn't know Alex was basically on the whole thing. I thought it was just like a feature. So like, I am so keen, mate. I'm definitely
like double duties, like working together, kind of working against each other and stuff. Like they're probably never going to tour it or play any of it live, which is a real shame, but I'd love to see it. Like, I think that would be a really cool, like, visual spectacle to see the two of them kind of going at it on stage and stuff. That'd be really good. Yeah, it's really, really decent EP. It has no right being as good as it is, considering what it's called. It's fantastic. It was fantastic. It's good to have them back.
Amazing. Yeah. Yeah, that's just come out. I am so keen to jam that. I shall be driving up to my mother's momentarily, and I'm going to blast it in the car. We'll see if Maxwell's into it. I'm sure he will be. He's been rather receptive of riffs lately. I think we're doing good work here. Really brainwashing him nice and young.
Getting him ready early. I like it.
Yeah, but good brainwashing, not like Scientology. It's like riffs. It's like good brainwashing.
It's okay. It's healthy brainwashing. It's brainwashing. You're gonna turn up to his first day of primary school in an Infinite Annihilator t-shirt. All the other kids are into Peppa Pig. Max is into I don't know, Entombed or something.
Right.
You got one last little golden nugget before we get out of everybody's ears?
Couple little nuggets. We need to observe two. I'm going to say this is two things, right? Two insane EPs just dropped. Candy, coming out. Candy might like be up there for Band of the Year, like releasing just an incredible album, like so good, like the best album they've put out, I think, and then topping it up with this fantastic EP. And
taking the mic.
Usually, when bands have the audacity to release two things in a year, sometimes it can feel like, oh, these are just songs from that session that they left on the floor, and they've gone around and they've just sort of dusted them off, and they've gone, actually, no, maybe. But this is just a really brilliantly violent, horrible little bastard, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's equally as good as anything on the previous record, and that track Football has so much death metal in it, it's unreal.
Yeah,
like,
Football is awesome. Horse Crazy is absolutely rad. Like, that tune is huge. Yeah, man. Like, this is just taking the mick, really, that they could put out an album that's as good and then follow it up with this EP, which is also awesome, and has like a really different vibe. Like, it's much more sort of straight up, more aggressive, more kind of riff based, kind of built on instruments and less with the kind of electronic stuff that they were doing on the last record. Like, I think this EP's really awesome. Like, they've still got their like hypercore kind of vibe that they kind of created on the album, but they're just doing something a bit more straight up, a bit more mosh pit worthy on this one. Than, I mean, not that there was. I mean, the last record was mosh pit worthy as hell. That's a silly thing to say, but this is this is even more mosh pit worthy.
Yes. Yeah, it's flipping. It's dangerous.
It's also got one of the best album covers I've seen all year. I love it. The girl in the Star Spangled Banner bikini taking a selfie while there's like a war breaking out behind her.
It's like, so good. It's like
really,
people having
really good. Some like crazy orgy going on the boat, and then they're like sailing into a war zone. Like, it's very, very cool.
Yeah, they're collectively their covers are unreal, aren't they? That still, the Good to Feel one is just still brilliant.
Yeah,
the one from the previous album was all right, but the newest album, but like, I don't know, it wasn't like a sort of a brilliant tableau like like these other ones are.
Like this one, yeah. It's called Flipping. If anyone wants to go and check it out, and I recommend that you do, and just have yourself a candy day.
Secondarily, on the EP front, the Disentomb EP dropped. So I genuinely thought it was going to be an album. I didn't realize it was going to be an EP, which was quite nice, to be honest. Like, I like a band that's so bloody good that they don't need to be sort of held into these sort of outputs where they're like, oh god, we're in the shackles of album delivery to someone. Like, it's like, bands reek of it sometimes when they just like clockwork. There's a new thing and then a new thing and then a new thing, and there's no sort of difference or creativity or anything. But so yeah, Disentomb being one of the more interesting bands in death metal, like in encapsulating this brilliant dissonant vibe. It's kind of like Ulcerate played at twice speed. Like, that's what this record sounds like. There's a little bit less in the sort of the slammy, brutal side. Definitely less in the slam side on this record, which I'm not going to moan about. For me, like, I'm not a massive slam fan. I mean, I'll hold my hands up. Actually, the Peel and Flesh record did take over my life for about a month, so I am actually much more of a slam fan than I realised.
I'm with you on
that was
one.
Just unreal. Like, I think I take that back. But yeah, this is blistering, mate. Absolutely brilliant. Like, just playing Ulcerate at double speed, it just completely rules. It's horrible. Their vocals have such a brilliant presence. Like I was saying, in sort of slam and brutal stuff, like, quite often that can also sort of fall to the wayside. Like, it can not be as just evil and horrible and monstrous as it could be. But in here, it just feels absolutely massive. It feels like it's being bellowed from the depths of a cavern. It's fantastic. It's a really cool little technical EP, sorry. It's 17 minutes. Melted together the horrible sort of monstrosity of brutality and then the dissonance and like sped up atmosphere of Ulcerate. It's I just can't wait to, like, can they not just tour with, like, can it not be Wormhole, bloody Disentomb and Ulcerate? Like, can they not just go out and maybe chuck like Replicant on and then everybody will be super happy? Like, can that not just happen?
That would be tasty. I'd be down with that. I did give this one a listen. Like, I only listened to it the once, so I didn't really have a chance to formulate opinions. But it didn't sound anything like I was expecting. Like, I thought, oh yeah, Disentomb, they're like a slam band, but this is way more like intelligent than that. That sounds like a slight on slam bands, and I guess that kind of is, because slam is
but they'd love it,
inherently quite dumb, and this was nothing like that at all. This was really well thought out and really like well constructed, and it kind of doesn't really resemble slam, but then it also sort of does. Like, it's not caught, like, obviously slam can be quite a tropey sound, like, there's very important that you get that like ridiculous vocal and that really pingy snare, and it's not like this wasn't really like hung up on fitting the tropes, and I think it benefited from that. Like, I thought this was a really cool piece of work.
Wormhole, they use the term tech slam for it.
And I think that.
I think what Disentomb are definitely, they're sort of moving into is definitely that same sort of area. There's just, we love dissonance in all its different brilliant sort of repugnant forms.
Apart from cognitive dissonance, I'm not a big fan of that.
but what Disentomb get up to is truly special. They're like one of the cooler, more unique bands in the scene, and this EP is fantastic. It's 17 minutes. It sounds, there's more music in it than most bands put in 2 albums. Like, it really does. It's a hurried delivery, and it's frantic and chaotic, but it's lovely, man. It's a really, really cool little interesting EP. If you haven't listened to it yet, it's called Nothing Above, and it's out on Unique Leader.
Oh, very cool. Very cool. They've not been releasing as much in the last couple of years, but it's good that they're still sticking up with the big sick bands like that. Awesome.
Yeah, they had a mental couple of years though, didn't they? They had Unique Leader was going absolutely awful.
Really crazy. I mean, the workload proves like, oh my god, like, there's a lot to do here. Like, maybe we should ease up a bit. Very cool, mate. That's a lot of music.
That's a lot of things.
We've
of
chatted
stuff,
about
Gary.
a lot of bands, a lot of records. Kind of a bit of a catch up, as obviously I've been away for a while, and there's just a lot that was going on. Kind of,
yeah.
I was going to say back to the regularly scheduled programming next week, but actually it's not, is it? Because we're gonna eke it out a little bit. We're gonna give you a little bit of a little teaser. We've got some fucking enormous records coming out next week.
Next week is mental. It's completely mental.
Out of hand.
It's an absolutely mental time to be a fan of heavy music. Gary, just before I go, have you taken a punt on the the Australian version of The Office yet? It went up.
I haven't. Should I?
No, it's rubbish. It's just absolutely rubbish. There's no. I think if I've laughed twice in the entire season, I'll be incredibly surprised. I think I genuinely did laugh once.
Oh wow!
And I'm not one of these people like the UK office is the only office. Everything else is rubbish. Rah rah rah. Everything else is for stupid people. I actually genuinely love the office. I love it. The US office is it's a beautiful comfort food for my eyeballs that I just consistently exist in cycles of watching and rewatching. And so I'm like right near the end of. I'm up in season 9 of the normal of the US Office at the moment, and then this dropped, so it's kind of like a nice. It's all in my head and blah blah blah. Oh yeah, it's really. I'm on the last episode, and it's been not very good at all. I don't think anything about it is good. Apart from maybe. No, I wanted to watch it to do my due diligence on it, and they're only half-hour episodes, and there's 8 of them, or 20 minutes, so you can breeze through it in a little while. But it's just so completely devoid of any sort of real humor or good acting or story. Like I couldn't tell you anything. I couldn't tell you anything about any of the characters in the show. Like,
oh wow!
Apart from one guy, there's like one guy who's like, oh, he's living he's sleeping in the office, and then it's like he is sleeping in the office. But other than that, there's like nothing. There's nothing there of any sort of. It's horrendous.
I'll give that a miss then.
Yeah, if you're a fan of The Office and you were like, oh no, I'll give that a go. Like, I was like, generally, like, Australian stuff is quite good in terms of comedy. Like you sort of like feel like, oh yeah, maybe that's got legs to be all right. Like you can see where they've got these sort of like characters that might, or like stereotypes that might play well in this sort of thing. But it's really, really tough going. And she's the cringiest. She's so cringe, and I guess Michael Scott and David Brenner are cringe, like deep down, but like it's like every single line is like over the top to the camera, like, it's insane, dude. It's insane, and she's a comedian as well. This lady that's playing the boss. I think the boss is called Hannah Howard. Michelle Scott. I think her name's Hannah Howard in the show, and she's like genuinely a comedian. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know if she's an actress, but it's just bad. I wanted you to like have watched it and maybe just let me know how bad you thought it was as well. And maybe I think you should hate watch it though, because I think if The Office means enough to you, that like 2 hours of your life, like or whatever it is, to get through them all won't take won't take too long. It'll be less than 3 hours if you just speed hate watch it.
Okay, maybe I might. If I get bored enough, maybe I might do that. But
yeah, if you're having like a great day and then you sort of would like, I don't deserve this day, you maybe stick that on.
And I've been watching that Rivals on Disney Plus. That's been pretty good. Been enjoying that. It's like set in the 80s, and it's like a TV, like a local TV channel. And it's got like David Tennant and Danny Dyer's in it, and it's good. It's a good show. I'd recommend it. I'd recommend checking it out. I listened to Danny Dyer on Off Menu, and it was one of the funniest episodes of a podcast I've ever listened to. He just killed me. He just cracked me up. But that was what he was doing promo for. So I was like, all right, I'll check this out. And yeah, it's actually a really good show. Me and Nick watched like 3 episodes of it last night. I'd recommend that.
Amazing. That sounds great. Yeah.
Cool. Well,
that's the end of the old podcast. But Gary, it was lovely.
It was
lovely.
It was a treat. It was an absolute treat to catch up with you, mate. And yeah, we'll see you next week with some absolutely enormous records.
Huge ones, really massive ones. Big, gigantic records. We talked about loads of music today. We should probably summarise all of it right now, but it's all there in the notes.
I'll put it in the notes. Don't worry about it.
What was that?
You'll see it all in the notes.
It's down there. It's in the notes in the episode.
That's how I roll. I'll do it all in the notes. We'll see you next week.
Come and join the Discord.
Do that.
We need to start saying this at the front of the show. Come join it. It's lovely. We'll be talking about great stuff all the time. Love you. Bye.